So, without much further ado, let me introduce the members of the panel. Let me begin with Deputy Governor from a country called Texas. It's nowhere close to the United States. It's in Upper Eastern. He goes by the name of His Excellency Dr. Abdi Issa. Let's give him a round of applause as he makes his way on stage. Dr. Issa is the current Deputy Governor of Isiolo. He's also a medical doctor who specializes in emergency medicine. He's also a lecturer. Karibu sana. Are you comfortable there? Karibu sana. So next in line, oh, I thought I was a gentleman. I was supposed to start with the lady. She is none other than the first woman from Northeastern to be elected to Parliament. A round of applause for Honorable Safia Abdi, who is the MP for Ijara in Garissa County. I understand Ijara people have a different accent? Karibu sana, Mheshimiwa. A round of applause for her, please. We need to celebrate women in leadership. I think it's going to be part of our agenda today. Next in line, he comes from the third, I believe, largest county in Kenya. We've seen a lot of transformation in Mandera County. He goes by the name of His Excellency Mohamed Arai. He's the Deputy Governor, Mandera County. He's quite a learned fellow. Mr. Mohamed Aral is the Deputy Governor of Mandera County. He holds MBA in NGO Management from Kampala International University and a bachelor's degree in education from Kenyatta University. He has a very long CV. I cannot exhaust all of them. And next in line, speaking about academics, we have somebody from the University of Nairobi. That is Dr. Solomon Owoche. Let's give him a round of applause. He's a political science lecturer, senior lecturer, Department of Political Science and Public Administration, University of Nairobi. So, our topic of discussion this morning is what is the role of traditional leadership in modern world? The role of traditional elders as we know them. So let me start with you, Dr. Solomon. We all know the roles of traditional leaders. Somalis, of course, are Africans as well, and I'm sure most African cultures, they do share some role when it comes to that special club of elders. Perhaps, can you begin by telling us, in an ideal situation, underline the word ideal, what is the role of a traditional leader?
Thank you so much, moderator, chair. Can I stand? All protocol observed. I always say this. Anytime you look around you, there is a problem. And the problem is anarchy. The problem is insecurity. And it is because of that we've come to the realization there is need to change the way things are being done. And anytime you talk about this change, your argument is basically, why are we having this anarchy? Why are we having this war? And it is because of that we reflect back and say, there was a time that we had a lot of respect for the elders. There was a time when the elders were basically the role model. There was a time that nothing could happen in society without the input of the elders. And then we simply fast forward and ask ourselves one basic question. Does that role still permeate? Does that role still hold dear to us up till today? And it is because of that, if I go back to what the chair is saying, what is the role of the elders? But before you discuss that role, you must ask yourself one basic question. How are these elders brought into the community? What is it that they used to perform that was so special? And what was it anchored on? And my argument is that anytime you talk about the elders, they earned their position. It was not because of age. It had very little to do with age. It was all about simply having the community in their hands, giving the wisdom, talking as role models to the younger people, among other things. And before you became an elder, it was a requirement that one, forget about age. Two, anytime you're talking about an elder, the elder must be an individual full of integrity. The elder must be an individual who was basically, one, a great warrior, if not a warrior, a great medicine man, if not a great medicine man, somebody who could foresee the future, a soothsayer. So the argument was that it is based on a merit-driven system. And if you are lazy, there was no way society would have appreciated you, the individual. And then the elder also used to determine the custodian or the keeping of prestige goods. Anytime I wanted to get married, there was no way I could simply wake up in the morning and I say, I like you. No, that was not there. The elders simply recognized that, look, I'm ready to get married. And then they approach a very well-known family yonder. And when they do that, they become the custodian of the prestige goods of society. They get you that which is best qualified for you. So it is that enhanced role in society that guaranteed that the elders were the only individuals who could have shown society the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mwalimu. I understand this is a lecture, so you had to stand up. But from now on, you can take your seat. So, just to give it a Somali touch, I'll ask Honorable Sophia to touch on the role of elders. We normally call them, or the Yasha, right?
Yes.
The role of these elders in Somali community.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. First, I want to define tradition. The definition of tradition is based on the cultural, political, economical, and social welfare of the community. It is pillared on the traditional philosophy of leadership within a society. Every society has its own definition, its own cultural understanding, and its own foundation of understanding and a way forward. In the ideal situation, we had traditional governance structures within the society, and those are people who had dignity within the society, who had the highest integrity within the community, who were respected within the community, you know, who give direction within the community, who are people who could maintain law and order within the society, and they are people whom we respected so much within the society. And in maintaining rule and order, you remember within the African continents, before we started having our formal governance systems within the society, these were the people who could be the judges, who could be, you know, who could maintain order within the society. They were people who were making sure that there are justice within the society. The people who could promote peace and cohesion within the society, and they could organize in such a way that we had harmony within the society. They are the custodian of indigenous knowledge within the society. They were people who had responsibility within the society. They were the monitors of events, and they were peacekeepers within the society. They were our gatekeepers. They were our chief moderators and negotiators within other society. If something happens between different communities, they were the chief negotiators. They could go out, negotiate on behalf of the society. And when it comes to conflict, they were the conflict managers. They could go out to manage certain conflict so that it should not go out of its confine. And again, there were people who were doing dispute resolution. With those, we had a very, very beautiful system in place. And those systems were systems that we appreciated across. When I was a young girl within the society, everybody within the traditional governance structure are people who are like my fathers. And I could bow down, respect them, appreciate them, because we felt they were doing more than anybody could do for the society, because they were everything within the society. They could address holistically issues that affected the society. They were people who were respected with the highest integrity within the society, people who have never seen mirror. These days we have people who are doing. Those guys were guys who, you know, I think it was a God-given, because we didn't have other system, and they were the system who were protecting the knowledge, the custodian of the livelihood within the society. Clearly,
Honorable Sophia, when you were a young girl, the interest of these elders were actually full. So fast forward to 2019, Honorable Mohammed Arai, of course, he's the Deputy Governor of Mandera County. I'm sure you've had a totally different experience from what Honorable Sophia has just talked about elders. It seems, fast forward to 2019, now they have some sort of an expanded role. Let me start with Deputy Governor Arai.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me first of all thank our General Foundation, Joseph, for initiating this Somali Heritage Week. Indeed, this is the 5th year. Initially, we used to hear of Abaluya Night, Kikuyu Night, and etc. So we are proud of this event, and indeed, I would say that I'm proud of my identity, I'm proud of my culture. To come to the point, Yusuf, I think traditional leaders are very important people in our community. Of course, if you look at our old traditional setup, you'll see that these are leaders who had inherent leadership in them. For example, as the lecturer has put it, you will find that a leader is identified as a leader through his oratory skills. A leader is identified through his philanthropic way of life, by giving out. A leader is identified through his interrelation with the community. A leader is identified through his skills in problem solving. After the missionaries have come, then we have become a bit honest. Of course, in the initial traditional system, we had our education system. That is through like the Quran setups. We had the poems that were used for education. We had also the literature, oral literature that were used for spreading education. Of course, we had also our political system. We had our medical system, because we had herbs that were used to cure the sick. Of course, of the missionaries, there was the birth of hospitals, there was the birth of schools, there was the birth of political systems, which of course were conflicting with our way of life. Now, as leaders, traditional leaders, definitely they don't need to sit in their same position. They have to be dynamic and move with the modern way of life. This modern way of life. Traditional leaders are very important in a sense that they need to accommodate that there is democracy. They need to promote element of democracy. They need to promote the issue of gender sensitivity in their decision making. They ought to enhance the issue of integrity. They ought to enhance the issue of promotion of culture and tradition in the modern setup. If you look at the case of Mandera, we have had Council of Elders. And indeed, our political system in Mandera actually was a setup of the Council of Elders in the 2013 election. In the 2017 election, we said, no, I think the Council of Elders, we have not done as per what has been required. Why do we say so? We say so because somebody ought to be measured in terms of his performance. Yusuf, come up here. You have been a governor for this institution for that period here. Can you give us your record? Give us your developmental milestones in terms of achievement, so that we can give you the next phase. But once you are not given that, and you are told, oh, he comes from Clan X, and because he comes from Clan X, we ought to rotate and give to Clan B. I mean, is that leadership skill in that Clan D? Is an issue that we need to think of.
Yes, we're going to discuss that in detail. Sorry to cut you short, but let me allow Dr. Isa into the discussion as well. Perhaps Dr. Issa, can you talk us through about this expanded role that your counterpart is talking about? We're going to talk about the effects later, but just tell us how elders have now expanded their role from what we used to know to something totally different now.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Horta anigu af Soomaaliga waxaan ku bartay Ingiriiska. Ani Kenya dhashay laakiin maalintan Ingiriiska tegay ayaan gartay inaan nin Soomaali ahay oo af Soomaaliga inaan barto. Marka anoo arday ah oo Istanbul jooga ayaan Libya tegay. Marka waxay ka soo hadashay Zainab oo BBC da ka tirsanay. waxay ku tiraahday waxaan doonaynaa inaad naga warramtid Libya. Markaas af Ingiriis baan doonaya inaan ku waramo. Marka waxay ku tiraahday may af Soomaali. Marka meesha waxaa joogay Zainab iyo Cabdullaahi. Cabdullaahi wuxuu dhahay war af Soomaaligaaga wax idaacadda laga dhegeysan karo ma aha. Marka laakiin naagta Ingiriiska ay ku tiraahday may waa laga dhegeysan karaa. Marka ani af Soomaali baan ku hadlaya. magaalada ka imaada waa Isiolo na waxaa inta yara waxaa joogay oday oo Soomaali ah oo habeenkii dadka soo toosin jiray salaada. Markay salaada duhur gaarto na magaalada dhexdhexaadkiisu istaagi jiray. Wuxuu dhahaa alxamdulilah anigu nin muslim baan ahay ummati Muhammad kabacdi ilaahay siduu ii jeclaa wuxuu iga dhigay nin Soomaali. Marka Soomaalinimo iyo oo jaamac kala waxay maanta loo qabaqaabisay aad iyo aad baa u mahadsantihiin. So let me switch now to that. Yeah, okay. I would like first of all to remember Hodan Naleye, who was with us here last year and now she's not there. And also as a doctor, I want to advise this month in remembrance of Hodan, we are doing breast awareness. I was also a breast surgeon when I was in UK. So we need our young girls, women, to remember that this month is very important that you catch those things in a very early. Now let me go to traditional leadership. Maxwell in 1944 described leadership in three parts. There is that autocratic, democratic, and traditional leadership. I myself came through, when I left London, I came to join politics. I could not penetrate. I had to go through the elders. Council of Elders in Isiolo is composed of 34 elders. Unfortunately, only 3 are women in that. So you can see we are already not following the constitution of 2/3. So I had to go in front of them. And in that tradition that has been said before, they had to interview me and see how I could come through. And we had the former also deputy governor who was also there. So we went through this system of tradition. I don't know if it is good or if it is bad. Previously, traditional elders were used to describe as they were. They were always there. They used to sit under trees and then sort out things that will prevent insecurity in terms of grazing, in terms of family issues, in terms of neighborliness. But now, after the devolution, we see that they have taken a role that was not theirs. They have now become very political, that they set up the tone of all the politics that goes around. Like we Somalis in Isiolo, Isiolo inherently belonged and to Somalis who came from northern part of Somalia during the Second World War. They came and settled in Isiolo. So due to our population moving, now we take a second position of a deputy governor. So whenever there is an election, that post is reserved for the Somalis. And I think it's no longer attainable. And these kind of positioning people, I think, should be things of the past, and we should go into democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Issa. Let me now hand it over to Dr. Solomon. You've had the point of view from all of the members of the panel here. So the question is, now that we are seeing elders having some sort of an expanded role, now that they're taking a central position or a central role when it comes to politics, where will that leave that club of elders, their legitimacy? Where will it leave the elders?
My argument is this. Things are changing. We cannot remain static. And of course, if you want the elders to continue playing a central role in the political, economic process, even social, they must be allowed. They must be allowed to continue. The only problem comes in when they politicize culture. The only problem comes in when they become part of the selfishness associated with politics. I always argue, if you remain static, the world will sweep you away. But if you remain dynamic, then the world will realize you still have an important role to play in society. So I'm never of the opinion that simply because the elders have become involved in politics, then automatically there is a problem. Politics is not dirty. It is dirty people, individuals who make politics dirty. And it is because of that you've even seen constitutional changes which say if you are to enter a leadership position, you must be an individual of integrity. You must adhere to the rule of law. But the elders, regardless of the society you're focusing on, will continue to play a most important role. Unfortunately, if they de-emphasize or they do away with integrity, if they are not ethical, then it will be a problem. So my argument, just to summarize, let the elders still play a central role. But let the elders show us integrity. Let the elders show us the way forward. And we'll never have any problem with the elders. But as you move, you find with so much commercialized politics. And I do not know, I will not place a burden on them. I'll simply say it is for you to decide whether they should commercialize the activity by being bound by the ruling elite, or they should be guided by the greater good, serving the public good, serving the interests of society. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Solomon. Let me now cross over to the DG Mandela. We had Dr. Solomon's point of view, which is a very general kind of perspective. You're a person who's on the ground. You mix with these elders on a daily basis. Let's address the elephant in the room, which has everything to do with negotiated democracy. There are those who are for it, there are those who are against it. So from your own experience, has this kind of democracy, enhanced democracy in your county, or it is killed democracy as we know it?
Thank you, Yusuf. I think the negotiated democracy, in the context of Mandela, I would say that rather than improving democracy, it has killed democracy. Why do I say that? One, this issue of Council of Elders is based on tribe. It is not the Mandela Council of Elders that decides for the people of Mandela. There is Garre Council of Elders, there is Murule Council of Elders, there is the Bodia Council of Elders, etc., etc. If we would have only married the Garres, the Murules, the Dugodias, the whatever clients that are there, marry all these Council of Elders and say Mandela Council of Elders. And from there, people do interview, okay, on the position that they want. And person is declared on merit. At least we would have said that the issue of Council of Elders is a bit going towards a negotiated democracy. This is a scenario where one community sits, proposes the governor, and then the other communities are obliged to abide by the decision of that major community. that kills absolutely the democracy values. I think I will say, on the other hand, the individual is not based on his performance. Take for the scenario, the 2017 elections, where the governor was left out by the Council of Elders. This is a governor who has worked for 5 years, and his developmental traits clearly speak for themselves. If these elders of Mandera would have called this governor, would have told him, okay, governor, you have been in this position for this number of years, can you tell us your achievements? Can you tell us your challenges? Can you tell us the future for this county? I think we would have said, yes, there is some sense in negotiated democracy. It's a scenario where one community decides and the other communities are obliged to follow. The other issue is, when they are identifying the individual, there is no interview. You are not told, okay, my friend, you are going for deputy governor, yes. Why do you want to go for deputy governor? Can you tell us your vision for Mandera County? Can you tell us your achievements before joining politics? Because that itself contributes to your leadership skills. What were your achievements? You have been working as a civil servant. You have been working as, say, a humanitarian worker. You have been working as a community worker. Tell us, what was your input in the community development? And based on that, what is your vision for Mandera County? Of course, these are issues that are not there. And I will say that negotiated democracy has absolutely killed democracy in Northern Kenya.
Honorable Sophie, you've had DG Mohammed Arai's point of view when it comes to negotiated democracy. You being the first woman from Northeastern to be elected into Parliament, how was your experience like? And I'd like to hear your view on negotiated democracy as well.
And first I want to congratulate the Isiolo traditional governance structures, because this is the first time I've ever heard that there are women who, whether they have reached the threshold or not, there are women who sit in the traditional governance structure. Congratulations, Isiolo County, and I want to say that I'm very, very happy with Isiolo County. Well, I want to say the negotiated democracy, my own experience in Garissa is first, I want to be very honest in this debate. And one, I want to say that first, our sultans, who are the key in the traditional governance, were not involved in the negotiated democracy in Garissa. They were not involved.
So the question is, who are these elders?
Let me call. Then we had also the spiritual leaders. They were also not involved in the negotiated democracy in Garissa. We had a few hand-picked elders by some political class who mobilized them, gave them all the resources they required to influence the political landscape in Garissa. Unfortunately, I was not in the lineup of negotiated democracy in Garissa. I was left out. I was left out because I was a woman. I was left out because they thought I was not a serious player in the political arena. And that was the situation in Garissa. And fortunately enough, we had to play our own politics because we had to use our own method ourselves. Myself,
yes,
as a woman, I had to mobilize my team too. I had to mobilize the women, I had to mobilize the youth, I had to mobilize religious leaders. If you remember, I have lost 2 more other times. And the other 2 times that I lost, people used all the religious leaders to gang up against me. And the Tuesday when we were doing the voting, on Friday, khutbah, in the whole of my constituency, 79 mosques talked about me. That was 2013. And they were against me. This time round, I was too smart. I used the religious leaders. Some of them, I included them into in my campaign team. I used the youth and the women. And we were very silent in doing our work. And we went around. And the other thing was, we refused and we protected my votes by adapting every polling station. I had a young men, over 10 or 20 of them, adapting each polling station. So when the results came out, the negotiator, the traditional, those handpicked, I call them handpicked from Garissa. Maybe in Mandera, Isiolo, they were really the traditional governance structures that were taking place. My traditional governance structures, even today, when it comes to social services and social works within Ijara constituency, they're doing a good job. And what happens is, I always have a problem when, you remember it, we are in a world where global warming and climate change has affected us very badly. And being pastoralist, I always have a problem when my people go and look for pasture and water. There is always conflict. What happens? My traditional governance structure in place go around for negotiation. They go and do peace building missions within the neighborhood, Tana River, Lamu County, and Somalia. So you can see they do very good jobs. But you can handpick anybody. Give them resources that is required, mobilize them, give them the vehicles they require, give them money they require, and they go and influence. That is one of the strategy people are using, and people are free to use any strategy in order to win an election. And the only thing, even when they were talking bad of me and the women, I had to stand up and defend myself. I was telling the people that I have brought a lot of resources to Ijara. There are water and schools. Why did the religious leaders allow their children to go to those schools if I was bringing haram to the society? Why are they using the water that I've put in place, and they're taking ablution with the water that I've constructed, and they are talking in the mosque and saying that don't elect her, she's going to bring us, it's not allowed in the religion. So it is a contradiction. And this time round, those contradictions were cleared, and people talked about the role of as a Muslim woman in leadership.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sophia. A round of applause for her. And Dr. Solomon, from Honorable Sophia's point of view, when you talk about negotiated democracy, the first question that crosses one's mind is, what these elders negotiating with? Because they were against her candidature, she emerged victorious. It seems they're not speaking for the common Mwananchi after all.
Let me be honest. Academically speaking, there is nothing wrong with the negotiated democracy. And my point of view is this: in a highly divided society, and I think Kenya is one of them, you may not achieve much if you do not opt for negotiated democracy. And negotiated democracy is anchored in tradition. It is anchored in the way Africans used to do their things in latter days. And the argument was that not everybody needs to participate in the political process. And you remember even the times of people like Aristotle, the 4th century, 5th century, it was all about direct democracy, and then they realized there's a problem. Because sometimes the people do not know, you the people, I'm not talking about you the people sometimes do not know what you want. And it is based on that in their wisdom, based on tradition, based on culture, based on values, norms, beliefs, attitudes, there was this idea, let us have a consensus-based political system. In Ethiopia, it has worked. There was a time when in Ethiopia, the Amharics were so dominant. But with time, particularly in the post-1992 period, it was realized we need to bring in the Tigray, the Oromo, the Somali, etc. And relatively, we got peace, comparatively. I do not know, I've never been a practitioner, I've never been a politician per se. I do not know whether that is the best given the changing nature of society. Because here you have a case where now The youth are the majority. Are the youth comfortable with negotiated democracy? Some will scream, no. Others will scream, yes. So I do not have an answer. Thank you.
Well, I think Dr. Issa might have an answer to this. Honorable Sophia has talked about how women, and clearly women in politics, especially in northern Kenya, have to have a thick skin, and they have to, you know, bring in all sorts of ingenuity, the way she just explained herself. So where will this kind of democracy, of course we're talking about negotiated democracy, where will this leave the youth?
I will be very pleased when the next election comes that most of the elected leaders in the Northeastern will be women. In negotiated democracy, it's got like a two-sided, blade. It is good because it manages security. Because some people feel left out, they do not have the funds, they do not have the capacity, their numbers are small, so they are accommodated there. But in the other side, as the Deputy Governor of Mandera said, it is killing democracy because you might leave the best out of the political equation. Personally, myself, I didn't want to join politics. I was a strategic advisor for the former Prime Minister in London. And when I used to come for holidays, I used to see quite a lot of things that are not right. So I said I will jump into this politics so that we can give service to the people. But unfortunately, 2 years through these politics, I become very disappointed because we have not been able to deliver what we want, because the way the system things works in Kenya, there is a tradition, the big man syndrome, whereby he is always right. So the elders have now become commercialized. It is a commercial entity that everybody wants to enter into that Council of Elders because they will decide who comes in. But thankfully, as Sophia reiterated, in Isiolo we have 3 women who are there in the Council of Elders. And hopefully next election, when it comes, I hope I'll be replaced. I wish and hope I'll be replaced by a woman who will stand and then take that post so that we have gender balance and a sign for the whole of Northeastern that our women can do. If they have done well in America, we have Ilhan Omar. She's doing very well and she's giving hard time to the president there. We have also, I think in Finland and Sweden, we have also Somali women who are MPs. So I think the negotiated democracy should not only look at male, they should now promote women in leadership.
If you have any kind of burning issue, if you have any question, then raise your arm and I'm going to try and locate where you are. And remember, you can as well contribute to this discussion on our different social media platforms, that is Facebook. I'm told we are also live on RTN as well as on Twitter.
No, we know women, and I'm sure everybody else here knows that men within our communities know that there's that thing in us. Maybe myself or some of us here, we don't have that, but most of us as a Somali community, we have that women have their place in the kitchen. No, that barrier has been barred a long time ago on August 2017 by Mama Sophia. So that is something that we must be proud of. Secondly, on negotiated democracy, as my deputy governor, Mr. Arayan from Mandera, said, they have barred it absolutely because pegging politics on clan-based and not with the merit that people come in is something that is hogwash. Because I remember one of the applications that was made by CEC, I think it was finance, in 2013 elections, he wrote, imagine, he wrote an application. Listen to this. He wrote an application that is supposed to be given by the County Government Act, the Constitution of Kenya. He wrote to the Council of Elders to employ him as CEC Finance. In a country where we have a very progressive constitution, that is how negotiated democracy is so entrenched into the Somali community. So it is something very good. The Deputy Governor of Mandera and Mama Safia have dealt with it. I hope the other counties like Wajir, Isiolo, Marsabit, even Nairobi and elsewhere will also do the same. Thank you.
Democracy in Mandera is that, first of all, women have no role. If you look at the 6 elected members of parliament, they are all men. And I'm also a student of governance, and what it does to the community is that the last 5 years in Mandera, from 2013 to 2017, the governor was held hostage by the same elders who put him there. So it did not help the community in a way that the national cake is supposed to trickle down to those who are not represented. So the issue is, in Africa, in Kenya, and in Mandera, do we still live? First of all, the people of Mandera and northern Kenya need to understand that those billions are not coming from the society. That society, it's coming from the national coffers. So it's meant to make progress in water. How well can we make sure that our schools are open? Those discussions, the moment they are flipped to the negotiated democracy, today Mandera is flooding everyone. Wajir is flooding everyone.
My name is Dr. Rukia Atikia from Isiolo County, and I appreciate my Deputy Governor for representing us and for also speaking out the truth. That at least I have also known that there is some ladies represented in the Council of Elders. But I need to say this, that first we need to appreciate that the traditional leaders have key roles still in the modern times, that we can't wish them off because they have mentored us, that we have borrowed largely from them, and therefore they still play a critical role. But the fact that we have this the negotiated deals, I feel that the ladies are still left out of the subject, that actually some of the leadership in my community and pastoralist community have earmarked the women rep position for ladies and largely locked out the women from the key other represented seats. Like a woman cannot claim a position of governor, for instance, or MP. And we are actually happy for Safia, at least she managed to get it through. Because my feeling is that these Council of Elders must leave this space open for ladies, for them to actually gain out of this particular deal. Otherwise, they are going to manipulate the space for the women leaders and also the youth. So I think I like the matter. I'm not a Somali, but I appreciate to be present here, and I feel proud of the Kushaitic community. Thank you so much.
I'm from Mandera.
From Mandera once again.
Yes,
okay.
My question goes to Madam Sophia. I appreciate all the members of the panel. Madam Sophia, I'm asking, what have you used to bury those claims that spiritual leaders have in 2013? And you women need to change as a leader, as a woman leadership in your seat. What do you have to change? And what those claims that spiritual leaders have when they were claiming in 2013, as you say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is Ahmed Khaled. First of all, before I ask my question, I just want to inform the audience this all that we are training. We are one of the top presidents, and also Madam Sophia is training because we have been mentioning her a lot on our things. And okay, I heard my brother, the deputy governor, say that people are not elected on merit. This so-called negotiated democracy. It's very easy to come and sit here and talk about it. And it's something else outside there. As they say, things are different. Go ground. Yes. Now the thing is, how do we overcome that? How do we change things on the ground? How do we take this so-called power that our elders have? I know we respect elders as a community. It's a tradition, yes. But how can we differentiate the role of elders between culture and politics? Because politics, as we have seen, And I'm sorry to say this, but it's the reality. Our elders have become brokers. That is the fact. It's true. Yeah? Madam Sophia has overcome that brokerage to be where she is today. She has been fighting it for long. We know we are young people, but we read a lot and we know what has been happening around. She has contested more than 3 times and until she made it, you know. So, and that's enough encouragement to the girls, to the ladies in this room, that they should not give up. You know, you should fight for your space. No one will give you on a silver platter. Having said that, my question still goes back to the Deputy Governor. Yes. I want him to tell us a little bit of how we can separate, especially Mandera County is known for Naujita democracy. At least the other 2 counties, Mandera, Moji, and Gaza, a little bit when it comes to Naujita democracy. Okay. Yes. So how do we eliminate this brokerage system in the name of elders?
Hi, my name is Gloria Mibunda. I'm a student at Daystar University, 4-year student studying communication and electronic media. And my question, I'm from Nairobi. My question is, in the beginning of the discussion we started by defining the role of the elders in the traditional African society before colonization and before democracy. Would it be correct to say that with the coming of democracy and colonization and modernization, the traditional council of elders and even elders in the society today have neglected their role in teaching young people the morals of the society, ethics and integrity, because they have left the young people to learn from the internet, from what's happening in the society, rather than sitting down with them and teaching them the morals, which was a role of the Council of Elders, and I think still should be.
Thank you very much for your question. So let me just begin with Honorable Sophia. I think there's a gentleman who directed a question to you asking, what did you do? What was your secret during election? How did you convince the elders and the religious leaders especially to support you?
And first I want to thank him for the question, and I just want to say that it was not an easy win. I've been struggling for 20 years. I started contesting in 1997. As you see, I'm not a young person, I'm a very old person. You know what I did with the religious leaders? I had women scholars, women who are educated properly in terms of Islamic religion. You know, Dr. Mariam Qasim and several others. I have used some clips and I've brought some of them to challenge the religious leaders on a platform or on boardrooms, and they were discussing and they were putting straight issues on the table. So I also had very, very good religious leaders who didn't even wait for me to challenge them through the women scholars, but they came on board and they themselves were supporting and giving reference to the Islamic principles. And the other thing is when you are doing your strategy as a woman, it's very difficult. But being 20 years in the political arena, I've learned a bit, and that helped me so much. Because from every election, I was going back to the drawing board and looking at my strengths and the weakness and what happened. And every election, I had a record for myself so that I could change anything that I felt did not go well in the other election. So in 2013, there were several things that I learned. So from 2014, I had mobilized think tankers who we sat down and we looked critically on the elections and the results. And every polling station, what kind of results we got. So what I did, I went back and to every polling station and made those who supported me my closest friends. I didn't want to leave them so that the other person could pick them. So I went into my competitors' camp and picked the most vocal persons within his former team. And and you know, I brought them to my side. So, you know, you have to be very smart when you're a woman. You have to use a lot of strategies. You must, you know, look at, you don't just see the key issues that men use. What you do, you become more smarter than them. And the other thing that finishes the community is, if you're a woman, don't start throwing stones to the men when you're competing with them. Don't use abusive language. Don't ever use abusive language. When they abuse you, just stand up and say, thank you, my brother. And what we are doing here is we want to do, just bring on board your vision. How do you want to transform and take this constituency to the next level? What are your strategies? What are your plans? Those are what I was selling. I was selling because I've been within community and I've worked within that community for over 30 years. I've done a lot of programs in that constituency. So it is not easy, and we do not have even one single woman in the traditional governance structure in the whole of northern Kenya, not Eastern Province, not northern Kenya, Isiolo. I want to congratulate again Isiolo. You know, Isiolo is a unique county. We have the first woman senator elected from Isiolo County. I'm so happy and pleased that they have women in the traditional governance structure. They have a woman as their senator. Hopefully, as women, the young ladies who are here, I'm appealing to you. Those who want to contest, I want to be with you. I want to sit with you and teach you few things that I don't want to mention here because men will copy from us.
I hope the young girls and women out there taking notes. I think there's a question directed to, you want to get into it? Yes. Very briefly, we're almost out of time.
Okay, I just knew when Rukia stood.
Yes.
It is Isiolo. I want to thank Rukia. She says she's not a Somali, but you are adopted as a Somali. I'm also adopted as a Borana. Isiolo, as she said, is a unique, we are called Texas. We have Senator Fatuma Dulo, who is also the deputy majority leader in the Senate. She defeated 11 men in the election.
Amazing, amazing.
On top of that, we also have a nominated Senator Abshiro Halake. She's also in charge of democracy, multi-democracies. So Isiolo is unique, and I want Rukia to replace me in the next election.
Wow, that's a free seat for you, Dr. Rukia. So there was a question directed to DG Mandera, and I think it was from Ahmed Kader. And he used a term saying that, you know, we took a ground indifferent. So what are you doing? You're here discussing about negotiating democracy. What are you doing on the ground? Are you trying to convince the Council of Elders to change their mind in any way? Are you convincing? Of course, the electorate have made their say through the ballot. So what are you doing to make sure that this kind of idea... I really wish we had a representative from the Council of Elders here, because it seems it's a one-sided affair, but just talk us through.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. I think it would have been very, very appropriate if we would have had one of the Council of Elders as members of this forum so that they give their views, because I may be giving one side of the story, but we're not getting the other side of the story. I think one thing that is there is Somali. In our context, you very well know that the issue of clan plays a vital role in democracy. In our political system, not democracy, but in our political system. Because Sophia is there, but behind her, there was clan arithmetics. I'm there, but behind me, there was also clan arithmetics. That's the fact of the matter. We need not to shy away from the truth. Then how do you improve on that? Is an issue that we need to think of. As long as we'll be in our clan cocoons, we will not go anywhere. Somalis need to change their way of thinking. Somalis need to think beyond their tribal lines or their clan lines. You know that in Kenya, Somalis are elected in many parts. Go to Migori, we have Mohamed Junaid, Nyanyuki, we have another Somali, and Amina was being nominated, and so many others. Now, as Somali people, can we think of how do we improve our constituency or our county or our ward, despite our clan alliances. I will say, yes, as it is now, of course, the clan is an issue that is there. Of course, this issue of negotiated democracy is strengthened, came out boldly during the time of devolution. Devolution. Why is it so? Because devolution carries resources with itself. So every clan will want to get grab of these resources. And the person who is taken to that position, because at the end of the day, I said, behind you, there is always a clan, will try to make arithmetics unbalanceable. Of course, it is going to be skewed to certain sides because of that fear of re-election. Can we think of what measures do we need to put in place as people of Mandela, as people of Northern Kenya, so that this issue of clan is not an issue? What the parameters for knowing where the person is performing becomes his developmental trends in the period that he has been there. So what we need to do is, I think because these traditional leaders are inclined towards clan, how do we shift off from that? We need to give, of course, in every village, behind a chief, there are always elders who are doing a very beautiful job. If there is conflict, you see them sit together to solve that conflict. If there is any problem, somebody in need, you will see them doing a bit of harambee, caring for that. They are very, very useful members of the society. But when it comes to politics, I think they are more of distraction than usefulness.
He asked almost the same line of, she did ask this, have elders neglected their role, the advent of democracy, modernization, that those who are saying because of devolution. So have they really neglected their original role?
Thank you so much. Again, I want to be philosophical. You know, there was this individual called Plato who argued some time back that the individual is a reflection of society, and society is actually the individual. If the society is corrupt, then the elder who is part of society will also be corrupt. And that is why I always say we need hygiene in our politics. It is not about men or women, because you may elect a woman, but this woman is just as corrupt as the man. So why can't we embrace integrity? And this integrity is beautifully summarized in our Constitution. But nobody follows those laws. Nobody. We have such beautiful laws on what women are supposed to do in society, move away from the patriarchal nature of society. But again, we have developed this big man, big woman syndrome. It is a high time that we simply brought back hygiene, ethics, integrity in our politics. And if we do that, even these other issues of negotiated or not negotiated democracy will basically fit into the jigsaw puzzle, and we will prosper. Remember one thing, sovereignty lies with the people. And if you, the people, do not ensure that your leaders are accountable, they'll continue to give you these false stories. Our people are being finished, yet they eat all our monies. So please, you, the people, you have a very central responsibility. Make your leaders accountable to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Solomon. Let me bring in Dr. Issa as we conclude, maybe a parting shot to this discussion. And perhaps it's about time we ask this. Should elders get involved in politics?
I think the elders have played a very big role prior to the devolution. And after the devolution, they became so much entangled to politics that you could not know what is their role. They became the people who are calling the shots. So mine is to call for the elders to go back to the drawing board. And they are very good, as you say, behind every chief there is elders. Let them deal with security issues. Let them deal with issues that concerns the family. Let them be a voice of the community also to the government, so that they disassociate themselves with politics of negotiated democracy or choosing, so that the field is open to all these young people who are here today, I see, so that they can also compete and challenge their brothers and sisters who are already in the government. So I think my parting shot will be, they should disassociate themselves from the politics of negotiated democracy. They should go back to where they were very good at in ensuring the security, food security, flood security, grazing security, and things that will help the community, because we are pastoralists. And 70% of this country, Kenya, is pastoralist and belongs to the pastoralists. So I hope that in the next, when we are sitting for the next election, which is just 2.5 years away, those elders will go back to the drawing board and not get involved in politics, so that they can hold their integrity. When they speak, then people will respect them.
Yes, Honorable Sophia, your parting shot.
First, I want to thank our Jama and tell them that this is a very beautiful event. And mine is the traditional governance structure. We cannot prevent them from joining a political arena. And I think the best thing that they could do is, you know, if they keep quiet and everybody who is bad and the evil come and participate in the political arena, and they are not there, then we will not be able to again achieve the desired goal that we are looking at. And the Constitution has given everybody a right to participate. You have seen there is a key principle of public participation. You participate in everything that is within your environment. So I think it is key that they participate in the political participation, but with dignity, respect, so that they can sustain the respect and their dignity and the level where they are, and the reflection that we have for them, so that we have that respect, the dignity, and everybody. And when they come on board, they do what is just, because that was their role. Their role was to be just to the community.
Not handpicking leaders.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I think the parting shot is this. First, the Council of Elders are very useful people in the community. Of course, we cannot negate them and leave them out in the processes, but we can use them usefully. How do you use them usefully? Of course, they should respect democracy, they should respect freedom, they should respect human dignity, they should respect integrity, and as long as they do that, I think we'll be working together closely. Second issue, if you want to get good leaders, my dear brothers from Northern Kenya, our biggest problem is handouts. You find that a governor goes for a position, by the time he gets elected, he has almost a bill of almost 1 billion, etc. Do you expect that person really to serve you well? Definitely, he has to get this debts paid. He has to sort all those things. Where is he going to get them from? From his salary? From his salary? No. Somebody was asking me, as the deputy governor, your predecessor used to send people to pilgrimage and used to pay their fares and whatever. I was telling him, man, I'm getting such a small amount of salary. By the way, I was a military worker before I joined politics. And indeed, what I'm getting as salary is what I was getting when I was there. The idea was, how can you bring a change to this community? It's okay, you have this small amount of money, and then you have hundreds of persons who want to get resources out of you. I mean, pilgrimage is a religious obligation, and the person who goes to that place, and the person saying that is a sheikh, a religious leader. Okay? He wants to get now, okay, you used to buy as this, you used to do as this, you used to do as this. I told him, this is what I have, my friend. I have my own obligations. I have fees to pay, I have rent to pay, I have this to do, I have that to do. Do you think these small resources will be able to do that? And say, no, I thought you people are getting better things than that. I think it's good to speak the truth. Corruption is finishing this community, all of them. And unless we address those issues, we don't expect to get good leaders. If you want to get good leaders, give them the time and give them the opportunity to tell you at household level, at village level, what he is going to do for those communities. And then you hold that person accountable based on the pledges that he has made for that community. Otherwise, if you say community X, I'll give them 3 million, community B, I'll give them 8 billion, community D, I mean, we are not going anywhere. So I think we got to call a spade and accept our problems as people of Northern Kenya. Thank you.
What a parting shot. Thank you very much. As we conclude, we've had comments from the panel here. Part of the audience also have shared their sentiments to this discussion. Let me just go through a few comments from social media before I release you. I know it's Friday, so I still have about 5 minutes. At Patrick Ahinda says traditional leadership offer advisory and guidance role because of the respect they command. At Lord Sige says Africans have their own understanding of democracy, which is sharply different from the liberal democracy we currently have. The institution of traditional rulership is democratic in its own unique way, in what we at times refer to as consensus. At Royal Trader says the role of traditional leaders in rural local government has been widely overlooked. At least there are people who are speaking on behalf of the Council of Elders. And it's good to have a balanced kind of discussion. At Kaleke says they instill discipline in our youth as from early childhood to make sure that we bring up a generation that is upright. I'm sure we agreed on that, all of us. At Imani Denya says failure to recognize the importance results in lost opportunities for local governance. At Dennis Kiplimo, this is the final one I'm taking, traditional leadership provides some guidance on matters affecting the community, for example, marriage. Hashtag SHW 2019, SHW standing for the Somali Heritage Week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your indulgence. Thank you very much, Dr. Solomon. A round of applause for Dr. Solomon. He's been very resourceful. Dr. Isa from Texas is your Lord. Thank you very much for your input. Honorable Sophia. She's been really good, right? You agree with me? And of course, Honorable Mohammed from Mandera County, on behalf of the entire team that made this event a success, we really thank all of you, including the sponsors. And Somali Heritage Week is just beginning. I'm sure we'll be here very soon.